Eric Rudd is a pioneering artist who over the years has built up an impressive record of important art using technologically advanced materials. Artist Eric Rudd has realized his most ambitious artwork ever with this Dark Ride Museum installation. As early as 1965, Rudd imagined enclosed environments to create his art without architectural references. With large sculptures of polyurethane foam completed by 1975, Rudd expanded his ideas about new ways to access his art. In 1977, he tried to purchase a car and track system from an amusement park. Rudd wanted his works to appear to the viewer in a free, dark space. New technologies and industrial materials have allowed Rudd to explore new directions in art. By 1985, Rudd wanted to enlarge a series of work using clear glass into gigantic iceberg forms. Since no organic clear material like clay, plaster, or styrofoam existed, Rudd invented new ways to make it. Beginning in 1987, residencies at the Research and Development Headquarters of GE Plastics allowed Rudd to realize this work. Rudd's restlessness and his constant examination of new art processes and concepts led to many novel approaches. Moving his studio to an old textile mill in 1990, with football fields of space at his disposal, allowed Rudd to thoroughly examine these ideas. If the viewer was allowed to venture inside Rudd's world, then Rudd wanted to make sure the viewer got the same visual trip he got. The Dark Ride project became a better way to visit this new world. The Dark Ride project presents a revolutionary new way for artists to approach art and a new way for museums to overcome traditional obstacles to a media-conscious audience. As Giotto offered an infinite new world for artists with the use of visual perspective, Rudd offers an equally new world by controlling the viewer's field of vision, enhancing the art in a time sequence, and letting the viewing experience become the art itself. The presentation is much more immediate and dynamic than the traditional placement of text and art on walls at various locations throughout an exhibit. Although clear in his plans, Rudd's studio, huge by most standard, was so filled with art that Rudd needed larger space. By 1990, Rudd transformed the gigantic Beaver Mill in North Adams, Massachusetts, into studio space and an artist center, while the final version of the Dark Ride project was planned as a traveling museum. During the summer of 1995, when space became available in the mill, construction of the exhibition started in earnest. Rudd was assisted by college student interns, and with the continued assistance of colleagues and professionals, work was completed, and the Dark Ride project was opened to the public in 1996. The combined efforts need only an audience to appreciate the results of thousands of hours of work. The Dark Ride project uses an original concept, a chair vehicle that can move about a museum space, with or without other people walking, in a route that is planned by the artist or curator. By using recently developed robotic technologies packaged with systems of control signals, elements of the exhibition are controlled to move and change while the viewer is present. Sound is added and synchronized with the visual stimulation. And because it is a ride during which a specific amount of time elapses, accumulation of visual materials make it more interesting. The sensory integrator is user-friendly for both the viewer and for the museum. It is easy to change routes and add sequences. It is quiet, safe, and attractive. All the viewer has to do is sit down and enjoy the show. The sensory integrator will do everything for the viewer. It is accessible to audiences who have physical, cultural, or educational obstacles to visiting traditional art exhibitions. Rigid, spray-in-place polyurethane foam is a two-component mixture. Within seconds of being sprayed from industrial equipment, the liquid mixture expands 30 times its original size, forms a cellular material, and hardens. After earlier experimentation, artist Eric Rudd purchased industrial foam equipment from Guzmer Corporation in 1973 and uses polyurethane foam from Mobe Corporation, distributed by Steffen Corporation. Rudd has used this process extensively in much of his art since then. Although lightweight, polyurethane foam nevertheless has structural strength and can be used to create large sculptures with or without skeleton supports. The industrial spray equipment allows Rudd to build forms in a very free manner and to realize ideas impossible with more traditional materials. We would like to acknowledge Mobe Corporation's contribution of materials for the Dark Ride project. Eric Rudd realized his first blow-molded sculptures in 1987 with the generous support of GE Plastics. Blow molding is an industrial process of heating polycarbonates and forming a parasol shape, then expanding the parasol into forms by the use of air. Normally, products are formed by capturing the parasol inside of molds and expanding the material against the inside of the mold. Rudd created his sculptures by hand forming each shape, similar to traditional glass blowing, but in a gigantic scale not possible with glass. Lexan is GE Plastics' premier polycarbonate, and depending on thickness, can be bulletproof and clear, or made with colors. We would like to acknowledge GE Plastics' assistance in helping with this creative process early on. Walter Hopps is one of the world's foremost museum directors and authorities on contemporary art. Recent acclaimed exhibitions include Kienholz, a retrospective, at the Whitney Museum of American Art, Max Ernst at the Museum of Modern Art, and Robert Rauschenberg, the early 1950s, at the Cochrane Gallery, Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum. He is currently working on a Rauschenberg retrospective for the Guggenheim Museum. As founding director of the highly regarded Menil Collection in Houston, Texas, Hopps supervised the planning and operation of one of the most beautiful museums in the world. Hopps met Rudd in the 1960s and has built up over the years the most extensive knowledge any curator has of Rudd's work. Hopps has curated several gallery and group museum shows of Rudd's work. Walter Hopps discusses the new art concept of the Dark Ride project in a presentation titled A Future for Art. This first public opening of the project demonstrates the interest of merging new concepts and materials into the fine arts. The Dark Ride project can be duplicated in any type or size of space, including spaces as small as an average art gallery. Furthermore, the combined technology has been designed to be used by other artists in general museum exhibitions or in many other kinds of commercial applications, such as hotel resorts, convention halls, or educational institutions. Although the Dark Ride project employs a dramatic version for the sake of supporting the strong art of Eric Rudd, these concepts can be readily adapted to other environments. Eric Rudd is a pioneering artist who over the years has built up an impressive record of